JJ the CPA here. Boom! 5:01 a.m. Tax season in July. You gotta love it. I do. A couple of things on the way in that I wanted to make sure you were thinking about this weekend, which is if you got the EIDL, if you owe taxes, if you've got PPP. Guess I better turn on some lights. Just trying to make use of my time because I love it that you watch these videos that I put together. I really appreciate you. So if you got the EIDL, I would kind of slow down using it. Remember, with the EIDL, it's for any operating expense, any ongoing operating expense, including making loan payments. You can't pay off a loan, but including loan payments. And when I say there's no time frame to it, with PPP, it was 8 weeks, which unfortunately they did not put that 24-week option in until a lot of us had already been through the 8 weeks. But nonetheless, with the EIDL, it seems like that's kind of the second wave of relief that's being sought. We all know that there was a gap. Basically, the EIDL ran out of money. And then Congress came back in, reloaded it. It was only open for the agricultural businesses for a while. And then it was open to everybody starting a few weeks ago. So with the EIDL, that economic injury disaster loan that you can only get at SBA.gov, use that as your cushion. And that's what I've been telling either people that are tuning into my live or comments or clients is, if you're offered an amount, know that it's debt. This is on the SBA website. It's debt, but it's over 30 years. Now, you don't want to try and pay something off over 30 years. You want to get it done before then, but it's 3.75. Payments are deferred for 12 months. When I say a cushion, get it as a backup. It's like you're putting money on the shelf. You're putting funds available to you in reserve. And I've got a number of videos where I talk about this, and I don't even mean it as a doom and gloom, but we're going to see availability of credit go down. It's just a reality. You're not immune to it. I don't care who you are, in the sense that banks are going to have loans going bad, I think especially on the real estate side, and they're going to have to internalize those losses, and in turn they will have less reserves. So it's not like they're even trying to quote unquote protect themselves. They have laws they have to follow. So when you need to go get money later this year or even into next year, you may not be able to get as much as you thought. You might have a line of credit that might be lowered. You might be using your credit cards, and credit cards are not a bad thing when they're leveraged in business in terms of use and pay down, use and pay down, use and pay off. But you may not even have that as available. I've done several videos on it. I have excellent credit. I've been with American Express, and probably a couple months ago they called and said, hey, your credit limit is now what it is that you owe, not just whatever. Long story short, get the EIDL, put it in reserve. So I'm not advocating debt. What I'm advocating is you looking out for yourself and your business and your family by getting some dollars that are there for relief. So if you're looking down the road and you're being honest with yourself potentially on what could happen with your business, and I'm not talking zombie land, I'm just talking about realities, this might be the time to go and get that EIDL if you have the money. And with that, this is going to be an unpopular statement, but with the EIDL, try not to use that for payroll, including yourself, okay? PPP was meant for payroll. It was the government providing you as a business owner relief. As a self-employed, I mean, you got it, you could use it, it's tax-free, it doesn't affect your deductions, it's fabulous for the self-employed. But for the small business owner that has employees, in my opinion, this kind of loan should not be used to pay payroll. And here's the biggest reason why. If you had to use PPP to make your payroll, you've already done what many small businesses do, which is they wait too long to make adjustments to their payroll. Stated more crudely, they wait too long to let some of their employees go. If I said clients, I meant employees, meaning small business owners, they keep on their employees too long. So part of the reason I'm bringing up that statement is think of it opposite, okay? I know I like the movie Wall Street and all that good stuff, but have a heart as a business owner, but having a heart as a business owner is not paying payroll longer than you can afford. So if you're using EIDL for payroll, unless it's, well, I got a customer and they owe me 50 grand, I have EIDL, I'm going to use it for payroll because it'll get replenished, which is like using line of credit. Okay, that's different. And, the things that I bring up, there's only so many scenarios that it can apply to. So whatever I'm bringing up that might make sense to you, extrapolate it, maneuver it, or maybe it doesn't apply at all. But all I'm saying is, yes, EIDL can be used for payroll. But what I advise clients, and I've been advising clients for 27 years. I started practicing in 1993, well before the turn of the century. So what I'm getting at is that, and what I tell clients is, you should not be borrowing from your savings, and I'm talking about like personal savings. You shouldn't be borrowing from your retirement or your kids' college education. Or, now line of credit's different, okay? But you shouldn't be borrowing money. I'm tired. I had to take 2 runs to get in this garage of mine. If you're having to borrow money like it's a note that you're going to pay over time, in my opinion, it's not that, well, be heartless and don't pay your employees. What I'm saying is that you can't afford to pay the employees. You can't afford it. And it's not fair to you, and I'm not even saying this from a kumbaya, I'm saying it from a business standpoint. It's not fair to you to borrow money that you're going to have to pay back, and on the EIDL over 30 years, right? I mean, that your employees wouldn't want you to do that if they really were able to be look at it objectively with you. So in my opinion, it sounds kind of hardcore, but yes, if you have money in the bank and operating funds and you are operating and you're bringing in money, then of course you want to try and do what you can for your employees. But the other reason to just be looking ahead is, and when I say have a heart, is try and think ahead of when you might have to let go of employees. So what can you offer them? What can you help them figure out before you deliver this news? Whether it's here's how to apply for unemployment, maybe it's talking with a competitor. And I get that's like, well, no one wants to admit to a competitor. Well, your competitor's having the same struggles. But maybe it's a competitor that's a national chain when you're not. Maybe it's a competitor where you have 1 location and they have 10. So there's just no shame. There's no, people are going to respect that, just to say, hey, I've got some employees. If I were to have to make some changes, and I'm not closing down, but if I had to make some changes, are you guys hiring? Now, I get logistically, and that could be a problem, and it may not be, how you want to operate. I get all that. just hear what I'm saying, which is think ahead for your employees. That I guarantee you appreciate them, you love them, they're a part of your team, they work hard for you. But think ahead. And then I want you to think ahead who you would have to let go of first. And it shouldn't be the highest paid all the time. It shouldn't be the one that's been with you the longest. Those should be the last to go. So don't look at it necessarily as, well, what am I paying? And so the first to go, of course, is the most expensive. That's usually the dumbest thing you could do as a small business owner, the dumbest. And think of it this way, that employee, that team member who's making the most probably knows it, but they may not be able to make that somewhere else. And I'm not saying kumbaya, so help them keep their job because they can't make what they can make with you somewhere else. It's they're going to protect you and your business and them that much more fiercely from the standpoint of wanting to protect that pay, right? Now, the least paid might be your most loyal. So I think you'll be surprised on who your most loyal is. I think most loyal is the ones that kind of inherently just will be there. I have literally the best team I've ever had in the history of my practice. It's unbelievable. And, I have a team coming in like on Saturdays, in essence, surprising me. And I was told last night, like, hey, I'm planning to work Saturday and Sunday, just letting you know. That's who you want on your team. And, not for extra pay. I mean, this is a salaried employee. And long story short, they're just part of the team. And, I could go on and on about that. All I'm saying is think ahead, okay? Think ahead. Don't wait until you are in the emergency, okay? And if you're having a heart about it, which your employees, they're never going to see anything about you having a heart about anything if you're not going to be able to continue to employ them, okay? I mean, that you've shut them down by removing your employment from them. But as a business owner, you would like to have a heads up if you had a customer going out of business. And you probably would work harder for that customer, knowing that they are going out of business. I'm not saying the employees are going to, and I'll just digress just to say, think ahead. And all you can do is the best that you can do, and the best that you can do for your employees. The best that you can do for your employees is help them replace their job or replace their income, which may be with unemployment and PUA. And you'll feel better about it, even though it's just not a good thing. But don't sit around. And guess what else? The other purpose of thinking ahead like that is that you might make different decisions now. Different decisions as in, well, you know what? Maybe we need to get after that customer to get us paid because I don't want to let this employee go. I'm going to bring it back to EIDL. Don't be using EIDL to pay payroll, in my opinion. Okay, I can't speak to every set of circumstances in the United States with every single business. It just means you can't afford to do payroll. Every small business owner, in my opinion, pays payroll longer than they need to because they want to avoid a 30-second uncomfortable conversation, which is, we're no longer going to be able to pay you. They want to avoid that. Everybody does. But you paying another month's worth of payroll also is, no offense, you're just fooling yourself. And that's why I want you to think ahead now of not fooling yourself. And I don't mean like you're foolish. I'm talking about not wanting to admit to yourself, to your family, to your spouse, to your kids. And even though you wouldn't necessarily admit it to them straight up and sit them down and say, hey, Johnny, let me tell you something. But you don't want to admit it to yourself, because admitting to yourself is admitting it to all those people. But just get real with it on where you are with your business. And I'm just saying, you're going to have to give yourself a little permission here to be vulnerable. You're going to have to give yourself a little permission here to be a little realistic and understand that you're in a set of circumstances here that are completely out of your control. So small business owners, typically, and me included, we are probably control freaks. We want to be in control. Why? Because we also think we can do it better. Duh, that's why we have a business, okay? Call it whatever you want. A business owner has determined that they want to be in control, not somebody else, and the reason why is they feel like they can do it better. So when we hit circumstances like this, you're still in that mindset. Even though I want you to have the entrepreneurial spirit, you have to be able to protect that. So paying out payroll an extra month, okay, is not entrepreneurial in terms of protecting your business for the employees that can remain, to rebounding, to maybe bring those employees back. So getting aware of what's going on, being realistic about it, okay, is not fun. It might bring panic. It might bring stress. Deep breaths. I mean, yesterday I was a couple of different occasions. I had to pause and just take a deep breath. Okay, we're only human. But by being a little bit more realistic, it might even just change some of your behavior now. I got up at 4 a.m. I'm here at 5 a.m. Now, I'll be honest with you, part of the reason for that is that my son may be pitching. He's in a tournament this weekend, and it just kills me to even miss a game, because when he's not pitching, he plays first base, and there's a possibility that he pitches this morning at 9 a.m. in a town that is about maybe about an hour away. So I've got longtime clients, one of which is one of my very first clients over 23 years ago, that I need to let them know what they need to do for July 15th. Plus I love it, plus I'm trying to get ahead, plus all the things that I'm telling you. Now, I'll just tell you this right now. I'm doing what I am telling you, okay? So I'm preserving funds, okay? And the reason I'm doing that is that I don't want and can't and will not, and I don't mean like I will not affect my team in any way. And here's why. Because I'm thinking ahead, I'm looking at numbers, I'm looking at future cash position, where am I at in 3 weeks? You know, what credit's available to me? Go ahead and turn that credit available to me into funds that are available, that I don't have to worry about, maybe not later. Spending less, not eating out. Long story short, I've put myself in a position, as well as aligning with my clients and then shifting to what my clients might need differently. Right now, just as an example, clients may not have to do the same kind of tax planning they've done in the past if they've been shut down for 2 to 3 months, right? We're already in a year that taxes are going to be lower because the income's going to be less. So what do my clients need now? Well, they need assistance with cash flow analysis. They need assistance with PPP. And to date, I haven't charged any of my clients for doing any of that, other than there were a few clients that I ended up having to spend a lot of time on PPP. So I sent a nominal amount, in my opinion, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But anyways, as we're coming out of the crisis, it's reshifting. It's not turning into a way to gig my clients to then save my business, even though I don't need saving. Everybody's still got to file tax return. Clearly, we have July 15th. I'm in a lucky position that people still have to do what it is that I provide. File taxes, keep books, do accounting. If I needed to, I can start shifting more into providing services that I see my clients need. So maybe that's a part of what you need to do. But bringing it back, if you have PPP and we have the 24-week option, then look at being smart about that, okay? Really what it comes down to is I know that it's like, well, do I have to spend PPP now? And if you have payroll, my interpretation is you need to be using it for payroll. Obviously, rent, utilities, mortgage interest. But let's be clear about it. You can be using it for any of those items. What you're risking is if you are, let's say you get rid of, or you have no employees, but you got PPP, what you're risking is, well, then you're going to have to pay it back. So do not hear me as saying, well, use your PPP money for things that it's not supposed to be used for. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, with PPP funds, you now have a 24-week period to let it last. Yes, what you might risk is if an employee can't stay on, you're anticipating you're not going to be able to pay them. Then when your PPP money's getting ready to run out, then that would be the time that, are you going to have to let them go at that time? Which put in the forgiveness. And this isn't about PPP forgiveness right now. It's not about strategizing about how to get your loan forgiven. It's how do you use it properly, but then think ahead. Because if you have PPP and EIDL, in your mind, you might think, okay, well, when PPP runs out, then I'll use EIDL for payroll. I don't know that you should. You already got from the government 8 weeks of payroll that you couldn't afford. That'd be the only reason you got the PPP, technically, okay? You already paid employees 8 weeks of payroll that you actually couldn't afford, that you couldn't pay. You've already extended out that payroll 2 weeks. I got to get to work, so I'm sorry, I'm going to have a drink. Okay, this is real life. This isn't studio videos on YouTube. So if you don't like that it was dark for a minute and I'm walking around and you couldn't hear me maybe for 5 seconds, or I'm in the car or whatever, I'm a practicing CPA working with clients. I'm not an actor on YouTube putting a show together, so I'm hoping that you watch my show. Anyways, I digress to say PPP was for payroll. EIDL, I don't think you should be using it for payroll because it means you can't afford it. I don't know how you're in a situation you didn't get PPP if you have payroll. Now, when we're talking about taxes, okay, if you owe taxes, set up a payment plan. You go to irs.gov and set up a payment plan. Yeah, there's going to be penalties. And yeah, I'm telling you that you might have to pay some penalties and interest. Okay. I mean, we're in emergency times here. Okay, you can't make normal decisions. Now, I'll just say this: if you're like, well, no, I'm not going to owe because I don't want the penalties and interest. Okay, well, you're looking at underpayment penalty, which if you have underpayment penalties, you already got them because you didn't pay your tax properly throughout 2019. Not that you're a bad person, you just didn't. You have an underpayment penalty, period. Second, there is late payment penalty. Okay, well, what are we talking about here? It's 5%, not every month. It's 5% annualized, right? So 5 divided by 12, so you're looking at about 0.5% per month on what it is that you owe, plus you're going to have interest on top of that. I mean, let's just even say that it's 15%. What are some of your credit cards at, my friend? What are some of your credit cards at? Okay. No, I'm not saying to not pay your taxes. But I'll tell you this right now, when I'm talking to my clients right now, the first question I'm asking, even before I tell them their numbers, How's your cash position right now? Are you feeling good about it? Right? Do you have more than nothing you need? Do you have more than what you need? How's it compare to normal times? If I'm doing their books, I'm looking for them to then talk with them. What's your cash position? Because I want you to think of this. If you have 20 grand in the bank and you owe 8 grand in taxes and you go and pay it because you're falsely afraid of the IRS and you are falsely afraid that the IRS is going to audit you because you owe tax, which is just ridiculous. You probably also believe that COVID means that we will be all zombies within a year. No offense, okay? That my point is if you believe owing taxes leads to an audit, then you must be convinced that COVID leads to the opportunity for World War Z, as in zombies. Now, I'm not kidding around, okay? I am correct on this. I am an expert on this, and I am telling you, owing the IRS leads to no audit. Now, yeah, you owe for 5 years and you owe for $10 million and you're doing drugs, yeah, you're gonna have an audit, okay? Small business owner owing 8 grand, get a payment plan. You got 20 grand in the bank. I don't care if you think, oh, well, I got 12 left. I got all this coming in. Wrong. What does a payment plan mean with the IRS? You owe the 8 grand and they'll take a payment plan. Now, this is what I know, okay? Maybe you call it a secret. But if you were to owe 8 grand, okay, the lowest payment they'll take is over 72 months. Now, if you think differently and it's 60 months, then just do it over 60 months. My point is when you go online to set up a payment plan, you just go to irs.gov. It's right there, bigger in Texas. When you go on there and it says, here's what you owe, what do you propose to pay? Take what you owe, divided by 72, divided by 60, whatever you believe, and then round it up a little bit. So 8,000 divided by 72 is $111. So pay $150. Don't get all cavalier here and be like, well, no, I'm gonna do 1,000 a month. No one knows what your payment plan is. There's no one at the IRS going, what? Boy, they could do it for 111 and they're doing 1,000 a month. Boy, we're never gonna come audit that person. Okay, they're not gonna audit you anyways. What I'm getting at is, let's be smart about what it is that you need to be committed to each month. And no, you can't use EIDL or PPP to pay income taxes. So even if you have the EIDL and you're sitting on 150K and you have 8 of tax due, no, you cannot use EIDL for taxes. Hear me on this. EIDL should be for reserve, okay? Not for making you feel better. It's not for paying off debts, which IRS tax is considered. It's a debt to the government. But you want to put yourself in a position because you want to be smart. You don't need to be emotional so that when you're taking a shower in the morning, you're like, oh, well, at least I don't owe the IRS. Because guess what? The day you pay the IRS, the next morning when you take a shower, you're not going to even remember that you owe the IRS. Just be honest with yourself. So anyways, commit to $150 a month payment in this example that you can pay off at any time. You can pay at any time, okay? Oh my gosh, there's penalties and interest. Okay, call it 15%. What do you owe on credit cards? Well, I don't owe anything, JJ. Then don't argue with me. Just pay your 8 grand in taxes. Just go pay it, okay? I'm talking about for the person that has 20 grand to their name. 20 grand to your name, okay? You don't need to take 8 of it and go pay the IRS, okay? Yeah, the IRS would say the same thing to you. Okay, if they were being objective. And that's why they have payment plans, okay? They don't show up in a machine gun unless you are Scarface, okay? Wanting their 8 grand. As long as you have a payment plan, you are in good standing. Yeah, there's gonna be a fee to set it up. Who cares? If you're creating hurdles for yourself, then just pay the 8 grand, okay? If you're scared of it, then just pay the 8 grand. You're being silly. I'm just gonna be honest with you and I'm calling you out. You're being silly. Now, the reason I went on and on about this is that I want you to think about, can you and should you be doing that with other vendors? Is there a vendor that you owe? Okay. Now, I'm never, ever advocating when you don't need to do something, you still do it. Okay. Like, I don't even want to know you if you're the one that everybody gets a bottle of water and you found a way to get in line to get another bottle of water. I don't care if you got other people starving and relying on you for bottles of water. Well, then get them in line for the bottle of water, okay? My point is that talk with your vendors, start being honest with yourself, start getting ahead of this, put your EIDL in reserve, use your PPP, yes, for payroll, but it's getting ready to run out. You don't need to go borrow money to keep payroll, okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with also telling your employees, and you probably want to strategize it because employees have to take care of their family too. I mean, you say, hey, you might have to let everybody go in a month. You might come in tomorrow and everybody's gone. So there's a balance here. There's a balance of ethics. There's a balance of morality. There's a balance of loyalty. But a business owner that thinks I might have to let go of somebody in a month doesn't mean that you are. Okay. Now, if I knew I had to let go of somebody in a month, I'd probably sit down with them and say, hey, listen, we can't keep doing this. I kind of, like, in a month, I'm out of money. So what can we do? What can I do to help? That would be if I had a certainty it's over, okay? Let them know in advance, right? Give them a minute to get out of the burning building. But you can have employees that it's like, I can't continue to pay you. The government has shut us down, or whatever the case is. Let's get you on PUA. And I don't mean as a strategy, okay? I'm not talking about as a strategy in the sense of, well, I have plenty of money, wink, wink, why don't you come and work for me, just work after hours, go get PUA, I'll pay you under the table. That's crap, okay? Don't be doing that. What I'm talking about here is letting them know ahead of time, because wouldn't you want your employee to know, and even if you don't care about your employee, I'm telling you to care about them. Wouldn't you want your employee to know about a month in advance if there was a certainty they're going to be let go, so that maybe they can spend differently? They won't go out to eat. They won't go pay off a credit card because they realize I might need to preserve cash, okay? They can get prepared. They can start looking around, right? They can, it takes a while to get unemployment. It's not instantaneous, okay? It's not, in these times, it's not, boom, and a week later I have my money, unless you're in a state that's I've not heard of. Okay, it's a few weeks. So if you're like, well, I might have to, what does it look like? I don't think you share that with your employee, because as a business owner, that's what you have to do. You're thinking ahead. Can I afford it? When can I? What else can we do? What do we need to do differently? Okay, you don't need to sit your employees down and act all big time and tell them that, well, if we all in the next month pull this together, then we're all going to have jobs a month from now. Wrong. You don't have a job. You own a business. Okay. Your employees are reliant upon your business, i.e. you. Okay. You're relying on the business, but not in the same way, because who's the last person standing? You. Okay. You don't step away from your business and then all your employees are running it and you go on PUA, right? So it's not the same. And yes, there is kumbaya and teamwork and all that stuff, but employees are going to have to make decisions on their own, so there's a balance there. My morality ethics is, when you know there's a certainty, then you need to start letting them know. When it's a possibility, I think the reason you want to be aware of the possibility is so that, you'll start acting or approaching business a little differently, in terms of maybe you're spending less on this. Maybe you're getting hold of a vendor to say, hey, I can't pay you in full this month. Can I pay you half now and half later? Okay. Getting after a customer. Listen, you got to get me paid. They're going downhill. Well, can you get me half now? Right? This isn't time to be cavalier, but if you know there's a possibility of letting go of employees, maybe you're going to be a little more hardcore on what money's going out and what money's coming in. You also might be a little more hardcore to be like, you know what, I do need you to work a little bit later tonight. Let's call that customer back. Let's not wait 2 weeks. Let's call them back in a week. Follow up with that person. Maybe those that haven't been involved in the sales process are, right? The maitre d' welcomes, okay? Well, maybe the maitre d' can start calling customers that are regular and or customers that are around them as in business and just say, hey, we just want to reach out, let you know we're doing delivery. Okay, so if I were to translate it, let's say to a service business, right? So the person that would just answer the phone and just do what is needed, let's say for me or for the owner, well, that person could turn into someone to help generate revenue, which is calling, hey, we're just checking in. Is everything going okay? Is there anything we can do for you? Or, hey, just want to let you know if you need any help with PPP, right? Just want to let you know we can help, right? And you're there to help. They're not there to sell per se, right? So save your EIDL, put it on shelf, make it last resort. Don't make your retirement and your kids' savings and your personal savings your last resort. Make EIDL your last resort. If you've used up PPP, then you need to start getting real with yourself about your employees, okay? And then if you have PPP, use it wisely and look at it as I'm walking to the end of the plank. Just be honest with yourself. Just get real. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, okay? And then if you owe the IRS, set up a payment plan. Just set up a payment plan. It's just no big deal. Just do it. Preserve your cash, okay? All right, dang it. Okay. Whew. I love you. It's not your fault. You hear me? It's not your fault. So get real about it, right? If something's not your fault, then it allows you to get more real about it. Get more honest about it. Think ahead. And then I'll just say this in closing. Who are your advisors that give you objective advice? An advisor that scolds you is not an advisor. An advisor that just is going to tell you, we'll fire them all, is not an advisor. An advisor who does not have a full objective view of your business is maybe not the advisor that you want right now. Think of who you're talking to, okay? If you're talking to somebody who's an advisor that is completely reliant on what is coming out of your business, the cash flow, an employee, right? And I'm just gonna put it out there, a spouse, a partner, your girlfriend, your boyfriend. This is your business, okay? No offense, but unless your spouse and your partner or your girlfriend and your boyfriend is there with you every day, and I don't just mean in spirit and every once in a while, no offense, but let's get real for a second, okay? You can shut it off right now, because if you have the business and your partner or your your partner and your spouse and blah, blah, blah is in it, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the business owner that pretends, okay? Let's just get real for a minute. You pretend that your spouse, your partner, your boyfriend, your girlfriend is your advisor. You know why they're not your advisor? They're going to tell you what you want to hear, number one, or they're going to tell you what is putting them in self-preservation. And of course they would. I'm not even knocking it. I'm not even looking down on it. I'm saying if you're going to talk to advisors, talk to the ones that are objective. Your spouse and your partner and your boyfriend and your girlfriend are not objective unless they're in your business. And your business owned half by them doesn't mean crap to me unless they're in the business, unless they know the employees, as in not Friday afternoon bringing lunch for everybody. I'm talking about the spouse that's in there and doing it, okay? Or the boyfriend or the girlfriend and partner, okay? Yeah, maybe that's offensive. Oh, that's so offensive. Well, then why aren't they in there every day? Well, they got to take care of the kids and they got to take, okay, great. They're clearly not an advisor for the business. They might be an advisor for what has to happen with the kids or the household or whatever. Start getting real with yourself. Okay? Get real, because we're in an emergency. Think for a second. Okay? Because what I hear from clients all the time is like, well, I talked to my spouse, talked to my husband, my wife, and they think this. And it's like, that's the worst advice ever. You know why? Because they're not in the business. They don't know the vendor. They don't know the customer. They don't know the patient. They don't know the employee. They're not showing up every morning getting it all done. They're sleeping in. And even if they're not in your business. Even if they're working their ass off in their own business, okay? They're in their own business and you shouldn't be advising them. Okay? Get real. This whole I'm going to show you that I love you because I'm going to ask you for business advice. Why? It's dumb. It's dumb. Okay? And guess what? You don't have to tell them, oh, well, that's not honest. Okay. Well, do you call them and say, hey, the office paper's on sale over here, but I'm going to have to drive over there to get it, where I can get it online for an extra $1. What do you think I should do? Okay, so just get real with yourself. Now, well, no, then do it. Then do it. You don't need to defend it and leave a comment, okay? Then just do it, okay? I'm speaking to the people that might need a little bit of encouragement to just make your own decisions without having to get permission from somebody that's not in your business, okay? You know who's the most objective most of the time is a grandparent. You know who's most objective most of the time is parents, right? You know why? Because they're looking out for you. And yes, your spouse and your partner and your boyfriend and your girlfriend. Yeah, I get it. They're looking out for you, but they're looking out for themselves. And they should. Don't you get what I'm trying to say here? I'm sure you do. Because I'm sure the ones that are like, oh my gosh, I'm unsubscribing. Whatever. I'm dealing with real life here. I'm dealing with real customers here and clients and real businesses with people that are being real with themselves, okay? Now, you might be the 1 in 1,000 that has the spouse, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the partner. They're like on point. This is what they do. Well, then why would this apply to that if this is what they do, okay? Right? So all I'm saying is determining how to use EIDL and PPP and paying taxes. You need business advisors. You got business advisors? Here's who's a business advisor, objective, okay? Maybe not even your banker right now, because your banker's not objective. They want to get paid. Follow? Right? Who's objective? Probably an attorney that you know, not someone you don't. They don't know enough about you, okay? Maybe it's that golfing person that just owns another business, doesn't even have to be the same. Your accountant, your CPA, your EA, your tax advisor, okay? Your financial advisor, okay? Now, your financial advisor won't start getting objective when it starts coming to you pulling money out of the market, but guess what? That is the right advice. Do not, scratch that. I'm not saying don't pull money out of the market. I'm just saying don't pull money out of your retirement. And know this, you can still have money in your retirement. You pull it out of the market and it sits in a money market inside your retirement. I'm saying don't pull money out of retirement. You make your own decisions if you're pulling money out of the market or not. I'm not commenting to leave money in the market or not. I'm saying don't pull money out of retirement. It's two separate events. But your investment advisor would be right to not pull money out of retirement. It's the dumbest thing you can ever do, period, okay? So I'm about being real. That's it. This is real life going on right here. This isn't a show for you. Okay, this is what I'm talking to clients about. And everything that I've said to you, I talk with clients about. And in that same manner, I will slap a desk in front of a client. I will yell at a client. Okay? From the standpoint of, let's get real. All right. Love you. Little bit coach here at the end. I got to get to it. Have a great day. And you're awesome. You're totally awesome. And however you go about it, you don't have to do it per JJ the CPA, but maybe I pried open a few ideas for you. Maybe I'm giving you a little bit of confidence or courage or thought process or, well, damn it, I am going to do it that way. And it's completely different than what I just said, okay? Sometimes just getting advice gets your own brain thinking, okay? So if you're somebody that's like, well, I don't know if I should get advice from that person because I decided to do something completely different. Sounds like great advice to me because they helped you think through how to do something even though it was different from the advice that you got. Follow? All right. Hey, love you. And don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. And you've never, ever, ever in your life met an entrepreneur like you. All right, have a great one.